Hi, welcome back. Today we're going to do part two of the Wheel of Fortune, and you'll find that most of the images have nothing to do with the Rider-Waite-Smith. A lot of them are scenes, and some of them just look at things very differently, and eventually move from this just the circle of the wheel to a bigger circle, which is like a spiral. So I think that's a very interesting development that a number of different artists have gone in that direction. So I hope you enjoy them as much as I do, and I hope the wheel spins in your favor again this week. Please remember to like and subscribe and leave any comments. I will answer any of them. And now on to the cards. This next card I wanted to show you is from the Inner Child Tarot. It's an enormous card. I just really loved the idea of the carousel and Alice in Wonderland. So this wheel is slightly different. You are riding the animals, and it's a sunny day in a green meadow. It looks like just a wonderful, happy card. Alice is riding on a rabbit, and it's not in this picture a white rabbit, it's a lavender rabbit. We can't just go, oh, she's on the white rabbit. Might be the white rabbit, but lavender is a kind of gentle color. Behind her is a man looking at her with a bit of a leering face. He's got a teacup on his head and a big, huge hat, so we know it's the Mad Hatter. And he's riding on the Cheshire Cat. Holding onto a pole is the Queen. Sitting down is one of the cards just resting, the Ace of Hearts. And then, of course, on the grass, you see the book that's just been tossed. So I want to read you the poem, and it's called Carousel in the Grass on a Sunny Day. Alice rides the lavender rabbit, one paw raised, pursued by the Mad Hatter, who wants to invite her to tea. He's riding an orange cat with a leering grin. The Red Queen holds on to a pole, watching and waiting for her time to speak. The Ace of Hearts is resting, feet on the ground, as if this carousel isn't even moving. I love this because, well, it's Alice in Wonderland, so everyone knows that story, and I have a fondness for it. I think it's interesting to cast the Mad Hatter as sort of a predatory old man looking at this girl. The Cheshire Cat certainly is showing in some ways its true nature, which is ha ha ha. It's like that grin that is like he's not constant, not somebody who was able to give good advice. So it's interesting that it is the Mad Hatter who's being predatory here, chasing her on that cat. The Queen, I'm calling her the Red Queen, but I noticed that she's dressed in blue, so this could be one of many queens, but it's the Red Queen who's always saying, off with your head, off with their head. So when I'm thinking about her sort of waiting for her chance to say the line, that's kind of what I'm thinking about. Now this Ace of Hearts, who looks tired, who's not on, he's just resting, he's not riding, has got his feet on the ground. And I found that really interesting that somehow he's managing to rest with his feet on the ground as if this carousel isn't even moving. So is this all a dream? I think that's an interesting question. And we know, of course, that the book on the ground, this is the book she was reading before she fell down or followed the rabbit down the rabbit hole. But the implication being, of course, that it's all a dream. So that question of this whole thing, this being on the wheel of life, on the carousel, how much of this is a dream? How much of this do we need to move through in order to see what's real? So I just wanted to share this with you. I thought it was a beautiful card, and because I'm an Alice fan, but it does make good use of the fairy tale. The carousel in some ways is like a very obvious thing to use for the Wheel of Fortune, and yet I haven't seen any other decks that I know of that use the carousel. Let me know if you know of one. This is the Inner Child, Alice in Wonderland, Wheel of Fortune. This next card I want to show you is from the Mystical Cats Tarot, and I think it's absolutely lovely. This cat is making that ball spin, and we have all seen cats do this, lie on their back and play with something in that way. I love the sense of motion that it's moving so fast. There are some images on the inside that look like they relate to the four elements, water, earth, air, and fire. And basically it is a big star. I think it's an absolutely gorgeous image. And I just called the poem The Ball. This cat, spotted like a leopard, lies on her back, spinning this ball so fast you can barely see it. Its movement is hypnotizing. Her claws barely leave scars. So I thought this was actually a fairly hopeful vision of the wheel. And she calls it just the wheel here, not the wheel of fortune, but the wheel. I think because the colors are very gentle, because it's going so fast and it is hypnotizing, but also because the cat has the option of having claws in or claws out, and her claws barely leave scars. So we have a sense that she is turning this wheel gently, really fast, and we are caught by it. We are hypnotized by it. But she could be doing this in a much more rough way. But in fact, she's balancing it so well on her paws that she doesn't have to use her claws very much. I guess in a reading, yeah, I would see this as, something's going to happen, but whatever is going to happen is probably not going to be devastating. If there are scars, they will be minimal. And that's a very different take than some of the cards we saw where it was like, wow, no good choices. People are throwing knives at me. It's not that. So I like this very much. I want to mention, in case you don't know this deck, this is the Mystical Cats Tarot. The guidebook is really fascinating because it is talking to you as if you are a cat. And I absolutely adored reading it. It was as fun as having the deck itself. So this is not a deck I reach for to read that often, but I do go back to it and look at it and look at the book and enjoy it. I feel that the advice and the stories that she tells about the cats have given me a deeper understanding of the cards. So if you haven't encountered this deck, I want to suggest it to you. And that is the Mystical Cats Tarot. This next card I want to show you is from the Crow Tarot. And I think it's lovely. It's a mandala made of crows, their wings open. Very, very unusual, visually striking. Around the wheel, you see a number of images that pop up in other places in other cards. The lobster, the snake, the lion, the bull, the water carrier. Some of these are, I'm looking at that lobster now and saying that's not a lobster, that's a scorpion. So these are probably mostly astrological symbols. There are symbols within the card as well, all these triangles, and the delta means change. There's also one symbol that's the symbol for woman, and then almost across from it is another symbol that's a delta but with a plus sign. So I had to look that up. And delta with a plus sign has to do with indeterminacy, and it has to do with things on the atomic level. But I thought that was interesting. There's feathers and possibly keys. It's not quite sure. I think it's mostly just the edges of feathers we're seeing. Many of these crows are carrying something red. I really do see that as the life force. So let's take a look at the poem. It is called Crapshoot. A mandala of crows, wings spread. Scorpion, lion, snake, bull, the water carrier carved in stone. Delta, delta, delta plus, change, indeterminate, female. 7 crows carry red circles. The others are a crapshoot. So I thought this was an interesting way to depict this. All these signs for change, something female. It has always been females that are somehow involved in turning this wheel, whether it's the Sphinx or in European legends, you have the fates that are using a spinning wheel, and we'll see an example of that pretty soon. But I like the indeterminacy. Wow, we can't know what's going to happen. 7 of these crows, 7 being, I guess, a lucky number, having that red circle that they're carrying, their heart, their life force. But wow, you can get that, or if it spins, you can get one of these other symbols that have to do with change, something indeterminate, something we can't tell you what it is. So it seemed very much appropriate to the wheel. Someone who knows more about astrology. I studied astrology when I was young, but it's been such a long time. I feel like I'm very, very rusty. You know, certainly the water carrier, the bull, the lion, the scorpion are all there as depicting some of the signs of the zodiac, but they don't all seem to be there. And of course, there's this crow on top, looking on the way crows do, noticing everything. I quite like this Wheel of Fortune. I haven't used this tarot in readings yet. I'm still getting to know it. I think it would be entirely about the surrounding cards to be able to say, you know, is what's coming something that's going to be devastating, or something that's going to be small, or something that's going to be big, or I think it's just indeterminate. And that is the meaning of the card, and that is why I called it Crapshoot. This is the Wheel of Fortune from the Crow Tarot. This next card I want to show you is from the Wild Unknown Tarot, and it is a beautiful card, but it is a mess of a wheel. Whoever was building this using pieces of branches and some kind of colorful ribbons and whatever either didn't know what they were doing, or this is a very old one and it has been around for a long time. It feels to me in some ways like the world is upside down. The sun is at the bottom, the moon is at the top with a starry sky. Nevertheless, there's an owl there. Owls are usually have something to do with wisdom. So I'll read you the poem. The poem is called Model. We can make a model out of sticks, branches, and ribbons. Set an owl to look on. The moon is a crescent in a sky of stars. The sun is in eclipse or buried in the earth. Nothing to show us which way to go, which way is up or down, whether there's hope or ruin. So it seems to me there are traditions in which people are making these circles as if they are the wheel of the year or the wheel of life that should be celebrated and so forth. But this is so rickety and either so poorly made or so old that it's difficult to see any order in it at all. There is life, there is color. So again, you know, this is the wheel of life in some ways, but there's an awful lot of darkness. A lot of those branches are dark. Some of the branches are white. But the world is upside down. I couldn't decide if this was a sun that was being eclipsed, or if this was a sun that was like in the earth somehow. Why is the sun below and the moon above? That somehow seems opposite to me. Which way is up? It's a crescent moon, but there are stars, so there's some hope. And there's this owl who's looking on, who hopefully can make some sense of this. But in general, we can't tell. We can make a model. We can make a model that seems like hopeful. We're making it from natural materials and from red colored, many colored ribbons. It should be a good thing. But the truth is, we can't tell if something wonderful is going to happen or if ruin's going to happen, because that is the nature of this card. So, as always, very powerful image from the wild unknown. And yeah, if I got this in a reading, I would be, something's happening. We have no idea what. We don't even know which way is up. So we can pretend to know, we can pretend to be that owl, but the truth of the matter is we don't know if what's happening is going to be good or not. So that is the Wheel of Fortune from the Wild Unknown Tarot. This next card is from the Next World Tarot. And if there's anything I can say about this deck, it's that it gives me unexpected images. In this deck, the woman is at the center and she's got gray dreads that match some of the other things that she has on. There's some pink there as well. But it's like all these wheels are spinning around her along with natural things and tools and books and all kinds of other things. But it is she who is at the center. The other thing that is central is this white bag. There's this scene in the Breakfast Club where they're all sitting around and one of the boys is rummaging through the bag of one of the young women. And I found that so disturbing because when I grew up, a woman's purse, a woman's bag was so private. My father would ask my mother if he needed to go in her bag to find something or whatever. Is it okay? It was like as private as can be. So that was a shocking scene to me. My son, who grew up during the 80s, said, oh, that's something that we do. Like guys go, rummage through women's bags. And I was like, yikes. So depending on when you grow up, you'll react to the poem in different ways. But this is my reaction. It's called The White Bag. Wheels and debris circle the woman with gray dreads that match her V-neck sweatshirt and over-the-knee socks. She's wearing sneakers and running shorts. She can get the hell out if she needs to. But what's in the white bag she's holding in her lap? Everyone knows a woman's bag is private, not a place to rummage around. Do you want to be the one to open it and look? So because of the time I grew up in, I have this sense of, it's kind of a scary thing to see what's in that bag. And that's the only way we're going to know what's going to happen, because that's where the secret is. She's got her secrets in this bag. All this stuff is whirling around her, and she is the center around which it whirls. And she holds the secret of what's going to happen. Is it good? Is it not good? Do you want to take a look? Maybe you do. I'm not sure I do. But again, depending on what generation you grew up with, I don't know where things stand right now. I think a lot of women don't even carry bags. But if you do, is it still a thing that it's okay to rummage through a woman's bag? Or is it back to whatever's in my bag is as private as can be and you don't go in there? But for me, that feeling of I'm holding this bag of secrets is definitely there. And I thought, wow, what an interesting take. This is sort of putting the goddess, in a sense, right at the center. I mean, she can get the hell out. She is like dressed for running if she wants to. But that bag, she's the only one who can or should open it. Perhaps some of us can take a look inside, depending on our abilities and our courage and our ethics. A very, very different look again at the Wheel of Fortune. This is the Next World Tarot. This deck that I'm using is the original and it was oversized. So I did not use it for doing readings, but they have come out with a small deck. So if these images appeal to you, and this deck is very diverse in terms of race, gender, body type, disability, so many things. It does it right. So I would highly recommend it if you're looking for a deck with those qualities. So here's a very different image, but it goes back to mythology that comes out of Europe, in which actually it was three women who worked with a spinning wheel. One did the spinning, one pulled the thread out, and one cut it. And it was supposed to be the lifetime of the person. So to go back to that mythology, I thought was very interesting. But here it is one woman, and the wheel is really a mess. I mean, it is all tangled up. Nevertheless, if you look at the floor, she is managing to spin. She is managing to untangle this mess and make some order out of it. I want to read the poem that goes with this. It's just called The Old Wheel. The thread is caught in the spokes, so tangled and twisted, nothing should be able to move. Somehow she is managing. She draws the thread smoothly over the light wood, the three wobbly legs. It falls into a gentle pile on the floor, flowing almost into a neat skein. So this is a really different take on the Wheel of Fortune. The aspect of fate is certainly there in that she's the one who is doing the spinning. Everything runs through her hands. She decides when you live and die. And that is a different wheel than the Wheel of Fortune. This is a spinning wheel, and so it's a different metaphor. I would read this differently. It's not as if you have more control, but there is an aspect of fate here that seems a little bit different, a little bit more that there could be meaning to it somehow. And that this goddess could be totally capricious, I suppose, and just decide to give someone a good life and someone a bad life. And that was certainly one of the ways of looking at the three fates. But it seems to me to be like a gentler card than some of the Wheels of Fortune. Also, the fact that she is untangling it and coming up with something that is neater, not actually a skein, but something that is a neat pile, feels a little bit more positive. So I think that if I saw this in a reading, I would have a little bit more of a positive take on it than I would on some of the other Wheels of Fortune. I'm not sure if that is entirely justified, but that's just my feeling. That I think because of the care with which she's doing this and the neatness of the pile on the floor, I feel like there's change coming. But I would sort of feel like there's been bad stuff happening that's getting sorted out, and so that is a slightly different meaning that I would find in this Wheel of Fortune that I might find in others. This next card is from the Fae Tarot, and it's very playful, and I enjoy it a lot. It's two women, two, this is a Fae Tarot, so they're both fairies. An older woman, or an older fairy, who's got the white hair with the red picks going through them. She's also, it looks like, possibly has some keys there. The younger fairy, who has on the lavender or pink opera gloves, which I love, and this lovely pink gown. What's fascinating to me about it is that they are building a spiral out of toys. And having been a grandmother, I did a lot of building with blocks. And of course, we would use everything that we possibly had. So any animals, any trees, anything that could stand in for anything would become part of that. I think that this image, as an image of the goddesses perhaps creating the wheel, or in this case, the spiral of life, is fascinating and a different look at the wheel of fortune. The spiral. They have built this spiral world from children's wooden blocks, houses and barns, bridges and towers, trees like cones and lollipops. The woman in the red dress holds a tiny horse. Her thick white hair is held in a bun with red knitting needles. A cluster of keys hangs from her belt, strung with red beads. The younger woman relaxes on her side as she reaches with her pink-gloved arm into the spiral world to place a tree just so. The older woman sets the horse inside the spiral. An elephant walks confidently, following the curve of the road, her calf close on her heels. Lizards dart, green flashes in and out of the spiral arms. The road you thought led in leads out. Everything is swirling around a center that might be wave or whirlpool, tornado or galaxy, or the bee's path to the center of the sunflower. What happened to me in this poem, I really just started with the images. What am I actually seeing? And what I'm seeing are these two women building a spiral and putting things into it. And then for me, what happened was the pieces came alive. And so the elephant is walking not toward the center, but on her own, very confident in the curve of the spiral, in the road she's taking. I like the care with which the younger woman is placing that tree, and the fact that the older woman is going to now put a horse in there. There's lizards, or perhaps dinosaurs now that I look at it. My partner would much prefer that they were dinosaurs. They just seem to dart in and out of this spiral. And I want to say something about spirals, because spirals are one of the most powerful forms. The most powerful form of air, for example, is a tornado, which is a spiral, or a hurricane, which is also a spiral. We find spirals. I mentioned the sunflower at the end. If you look at the center of the sunflower and you look at all those brown, actually they are tiny flowers themselves within a bigger flower, they form a spiral. So does the universe itself form galaxy after galaxy that takes these spiral forms. And it turns out that bees often follow a spiral path to the flowers themselves. I have to say that moving from the wheel, which is just a wheel of chance, and the wheel of fortune came from that game, as tarot came from a game also, and moving it to what we now know is one of the most powerful forms in the universe, which is the spiral, is a brilliant move. I love combining that with the fae, with the fairies that have this mythic, this magical ability to build something out of children's toys that then becomes real, that then acquires life and its own free will. This elephant is going her own way. So there are parts of this that are anything can happen, but also within it, there is a sense of free will. The form of it is not something that the animals, or there is one human being, it looks like, in the sort of lower left part of the spiral. We don't get to choose the form of this spiral, and we don't get to choose a lot of things that happen. These women decide where they're going to put us down, whether we're going to follow the direction they sent us or turn around and go somewhere else. That part is the free will part. So I just absolutely adore this image. I think that, again, in the Fey Tarot, as in many sort of lighthearted tarots, you have images that are very non threatening, but that get to the heart of things. I do love this. And I love the complexity of it. I love it that it doesn't say this is just a crapshoot. I love it that they say this, you are part of a spiral. You are part of something powerful. And you don't know what it is yet. You don't know if it's a wave or a tornado or the center of a sunflower, but you are involved in that, and the journey you're making is part of a spiral. So there is power there. Even when terrible things happen, you are part of the motion of something that is greater than you. So this just feels like a very positive card, and I wanted to share it with you. So we continue with this idea of the spiral in the Wheel of Fortune on the Spacious Tarot. And of course, there are no humans here. Again, it's all about the space. But humans have been busy. They have done something. They have represented the wheel of the seasons. We see the blossoms of spring. We see the apples. We see the leaves on the tree as if it is fall, and then the holly berries. They are containing this spiral, as it were, within the wheel of the year. So let me read the poem before I say anything else about it. Nice idea. Someone's made a wreath. Holly, apples, pink blossoms, and yellow leaves. It's a nice idea, the wheel of the seasons. The truth is in the spiral at its center. Each time around, unique and familiar. So, as humans, we want to find meaning in things. We want to see things in terms of things that we know. And this wreath is a representation of the four seasons, something that all of us who grew up in four season climates, which is certainly not everybody, but we understand that. And isn't it nice to be able to believe that somehow our journey fits into that wheel of the year, as so many things do? But the truth, I say, is in the center, which is every turn around the seasons that we take is unique and familiar. It is never just the same circle. It is a spiral. And this connects very much to the Fae that we just were looking at, that we are part of something bigger and we try to contain it within something we understand. But no fall is the same, no spring is the same, no winter, no harvest season, no summer. Every turn of that wheel is different. Every turn of the spiral is unique, but also familiar. Someone pointed out to me that this can also be used as a shadow card because when we are traumatized and things happen to us, things that are similar to that but are unique but feel familiar, all the power of that original trauma comes along with it. So if you're dealing with anything that has been a traumatic event that seems to recur in your life, this could be a card that could be useful. So I don't see this really as a shadow card of the Wheel of Fortune at all, but I do see it as a card that could be very useful in doing certain kinds of shadow work if you have had trauma in your life. I think it's a very beautiful card, and there's a peacefulness to it. And again, I think like the other spiral, that sense of being part of something that is recurring, but that is unique each time, and that is somehow part of something bigger than we are, in itself gives meaning, even when terrible things happen. So this doesn't just feel, as some of those earlier ones did, like a crapshoot, like a roulette wheel, but that there's some kind of deeper spiritual meaning to everything that is going on. So that's the Wheel of Fortune from the Spacious Tarot. I wanted to come back around to the wheel from those wonderful spirals. And this is the Wheel of Fortune from the Whimsical Tarot, which I believe is out of print, and I am sorry about that. But I wanted to share this with you because I think it is delightful. It seems a very hopeful tarot. That wheel is part of a spinning wheel, and each compartment contains something. It's a tarot that's from fairy tales and for children, or at least with childlike images. So it's a light image. Let me read it to you and then we'll talk a little bit. The wheel. A warm fireplace. The smell of bread baking. Flowers in the spring. Schoolwork piling up that needs to be finished. Kleenex for sniffles, colds, or tears, and big rolls of paper towels, spools of thread, the smell of smoke from a chimney on a cold night. Things happen. There is no blame. We mend the tear, clean up the mess, do the best we can. Enjoy the emerging flowers, the promise of warmth, the good bread. So this is a wheel in which good and bad things happen. The bad things are, again, this is a lighthearted card. They're messes, work that is piled up, they're colds or sniffles or tears. So there are some bad possibilities in this wheel, but they are told to you very gently. And I want to praise that. And again, I'm going to mention Katie Flowers, who talked about the importance of light decks. Some of us have had enough darkness in our lives. If we're going to be told something that's difficult, we want to see it on a card that's not going to brutalize us. And so this deck, I wanted to end with this card, not with one of the Wheel of Fortunes that kind of puts emphasis on all the bad things or makes the bad things really bad things. In this one, schoolwork is piling up. You might have colds or sniffles. You might have tears. Well, those can be big tears. So you can certainly relate to that. There's 2 big rolls of paper towels. That's for cleaning up messes. Those can be any kinds of messes. Likewise, there's spools there. We can mend the tears that happen. We can collect and make new thread. So there are, on the downside of the wheel, all of those things seem not very terrible, but depending on what's going on in your life, you might have work piling up beyond what you can deal with. And that, as an adult, is a slightly different situation than being in 4th grade, having your homework pile up. Although I don't know if the anxiety is that much different, to be honest. Again, the tears can be from very difficult things. The upside of this is the wonderful fireplace, and we get to see it in 2 guises. We get to see it from inside that warm place. We get to see it also from outside. And when I see it from outside, what I get is the smell. And I love that smell of wood burning, that if I'm walking through the neighborhood on a cold night, I can smell that someone has their fireplace or their wood stove burning. This planting of seeds, certainly a wonderful thing, and the flowers that come from that. So all of those can be read metaphorically. What seeds are we planting? What are we reaping? What flowers are growing in our lives? Any of these things can happen from this wheel. But where are we in this? We don't get a choice as to which of those things happens. And this wheel, like the others, does not give us this choice. But let me read the end of this poem again. Things happen. There is no blame. I took that out of the I Ching. Often in the I Ching, it tells you the basic thing and then it says no blame. So I wanted to put that there. There is no blame. Whatever happens is not your fault. You didn't cause it. And then it's how we respond. We mend the tear, clean up the mess, do the best we can. And then finally, it's about taking joy in those things that are good in our lives. Enjoy the emerging flowers, the promise of warmth, the good bread. This really contains all of that. It says we do the best we can. Things happen. No blame. This wasn't your fault. Here's what you can do. So that's it for the Wheel of Fortune cards. I hope you enjoyed these as much as I enjoyed going through them. I always learn so much. Please go back and see the earlier videos. They start with the Fool, and they will continue through the entire major arcana. So see you next time.